In this video, I'll talk about the TOEP scoring categories that focus on your grammatical and lexical competence. Lexical refers to your use of and range of vocabulary. Grammatical competence, of course, looks at your grammatical control and usage. For example, using the best verb tense for the situation, using accurate word forms, using correct word order, and so on. Some grammatical errors will have a bigger effect than others. For example, if I say, I have 10 chair instead of I have 10 chairs, you, as the listener, can still understand what I'm trying to say. Even though the plural S is missing from chair, the meaning is still clear. If you make a minor error like this every once in a while, your audience should still be able to understand you without much effort. However, if you have minor errors very frequently, even if each individual error is fairly minor, the accumulation of those errors can be distracting to your listener and make it difficult for them to process what you're trying to say. There are also some errors that can have a significant impact on what your listeners can understand. In these cases, your intended meaning may be unclear, or you could even say something that means the opposite of what you're trying to say. Even one of these errors could have a big impact on what your audience understands. Evaluating your own grammatical competence can be a helpful tool in improving your grammatical control. You could record yourself practicing the TOEP and then watch the video later. Do you notice any grammatical mistakes? Do you notice any patterns of mistakes? Learning and recognizing what mistakes you tend to make can be the first step in helping you to prevent making those mistakes in the future. Of course, identifying your own mistakes can be difficult. You may not be able to recognize all of the mistakes you make, and even if you do, you may not know exactly how to fix them. Getting feedback from an advanced English speaker can be really valuable. You could practice your TOEP presentation with a friend or a colleague and ask them to point out any mistakes that you make, or you could meet with one of our language and culture coaches so they can help you recognize any grammatical issues you may have. Lexical competence focuses on whether the words or phrases you use are appropriate. Appropriate means a couple different things. Of course, different words have different meanings, so choosing a word with the correct meaning is important. It's also important, though, to think about how and when that word is typically used. For example, some words can be very formal, while others are more informal. Some words can be offensive. Some words can be very technical. When you communicate with different audiences, your word choices need to adapt to your audience. So if I'm speaking to a general undergraduate audience about a complex topic from my field, I need to think about what terms they may be familiar with and what terms they may not know. And it wouldn't be appropriate to use vocabulary that your audience couldn't understand. Proficient use of vocabulary also means you have the skills to rephrase yourself or explain terms. So if I do want to use technical vocabulary with an audience who may not know that term, I need to be able to explain those terms clearly and also have the skills to rephrase myself when I need to do so. One way you can practice your lexical competence is to learn common classroom terms. As a TA, you need to have mastered the vocabulary of the topic you're teaching, but you also need to be able to talk about course policies and procedures, test formats, grading, assignments, and other similar topics. One important thing to note with grammatical and lexical competence is that it's okay to make some mistakes and to not know every single word.